Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. This is Harika. So in today's video, I am going to demonstrate one of the use case that I have developed using UiPath VB apps. So this use case talks about styling, but not too much in detail because I wanted to keep it as a separate topic. But more importantly about VB apps, how you can inculcate the logics into your workflows without actually, the need to call a studio workflow, which we usually do in the earlier version of UiPath apps. So in order to have the UiPath VB apps is completely to make sure that whatever the small computations or a need of the logic that we can implement using VB apps, VB expressions that we can utilize in the app itself, that we can, establish in the app itself. So how we can actually do that? So that is what I'm going to show in this particular use case. So this involves a lot of things. Like data service, it includes a lot of logics that we're going to do it in the same application in the VB apps itself without the need for calling an workflow in from the studio or to run it from the orchestrator. So let's get into the video and see how we can actually do this. But before to that, I'll just quickly show you what you're going to learn in this video by running this demo. So let's say this is my app where I'm going to track my all the budget that I or the expenses that I put for when I'm outside, travel or something like that. So I have kept the budget for the travel is 3 lakh. In that case, how I monitor how much I spend on what things I've spent. So I have this app friendly with me, pocket friendly application. So what I do whenever I spend something, I just go in there and then I will, try to put in the details over here. So let's say I mentioned that for food, I have had a dinner. Okay, so for dinner I had something which cost me around 3,000. Okay, and I'll just click on add to expenses. This gets added into the list of the expenses. This is successful, and I added items into the expense list. And let's say at any point of time I just wanted to check what is the amount that is there still available for me out of the allocated budget, and how much is I have how much amount I have spent on all the expenses till now, right? So if at all I wanted to calculate all of them, it will be not really my thing to do these calculations on everyday basis, right? So we just leave this to the robot and let it do the job. So let's say if you wanted to check how much you have spent, like you can do the check available balance. Once after you click on this, you can see it on the screen. Out of the allocated balance, which is 3 lakh allocated budget, you have spent 87,246, including all the expenses that you have spent. And what is the available balance for you? 2 lakh 12,754 is available in your pocket right away, right? So let's say if you think that, okay, so I wanted to do analysis, like where did I spend 87,000? Like I just wanted to know what are all the things or the list of the expenses that I have done throughout. Then you can just click on show all expenses. It will take you to a page where a clear picture of everything is shown, right? So if you can see here, everything is clearly shown, right? Clearly given, like how much you have spent for flights, for food, for metro, for cab, for activities, everything. And at any point of time, if you think that, this expense is not something that you have done, or you wanted to edit something, or you have added it twice, you want to delete it, that also you can do. So how you can do it? So let's say if you think that these both are duplicate expenses, and if you wanted to delete metro 2 and just delete it, delete record, it will be deleted successfully and it will be uploaded. So let's say after deleting that 400, let's go back. Okay, so here you can see 87 to 46 the same, and then just refresh it to see the balance. It has reflected, the right amount is reflected, right? Perfect. So these kind of computations initially we used to do by running the workflows in the background. This much of ease was not available with the VB apps. So now with the VB expressions, whatever I have done here, right? So everything you can do it using VBAP. So let's say at any point of time you were not able to do it single item at a time, and then you just have the idea in your mind and you wanted to add all of the items at a time without even going there. Just you can come over here and then you can just add the records, like you can just add like movie, and then you can just keep 500 and then add it. It gets added into the records. Okay, movie 500. And then you also have the option to just filter it out. Like for food, you have spent this much amount 3 times. Food, this different categories of food you have taken, and you have you know add all those items here. You can just sort them out. You can edit also. Let's say you wanted to edit this from 60,000 to 50,000. Okay, you can edit that as well. Just edit, save. So you can see flights 50,000. Just go back and then you just change it, right? You can see the reflected balance over here. So I feel this is great that we can do it just, and also not about running the workflows from the studio, but also the other thing is how quick this is, how fast the response is coming. Just like there is no lag actually. So this the response is very quick, and we can actually see how much improved it is, right? So this is the use case that I wanted to demonstrate this in this video. So once after we develop it, like I'm going to start it right from the scratch. Even though if you're a beginner for UiPath VB apps, definitely you'll not feel any difficulty at any point of time. And if at all you're feeling any difficulty, I'll definitely refer some of the earlier videos that I have already done on my channel, which will help you to understand the concept full-fledgedly. Okay, and also by end of this video, what I recommend is if you could parallelly do this recreation while I demonstrate in the video. By end of this video, you can also have this app created, and this involves lot of things, like it is a combination of data service, it's a combination of edit grid, it's a combination of VB expressions. So what I would suggest is when you do parallelly, you will not feel it difficult because you are involved in doing it and understanding the concept. So I would recommend it to do it parallelly while I walk you through the video. So let's get it started and see. I'll try to keep it short, into two videos as part one and part two, because in complete video would be very lengthy. So I'll just try to split it as part one and part two. So let's get into the video and see how we can actually start this, and do this whole thing. So as I have mentioned you, I'll not concentrate much on styling, because styling I'll talk more in the part two, because that comes in the end. But let's concentrate on the logic, like how do we create and how do we do all of this. Okay, so let's get into the video. So for this, what I will do is I will just clone this. Okay, so after I clone, let me, so I'm just renaming it as a demo just for our reference, and save this. Okay, it has saved. So now in this, what I'm going to do is I'll just make sure that I keep the styling as it is, and then what I will do is I'll just delete all of this. Okay, so I'll just delete them so that it will be clear for you that you're doing it from the scratch. Okay, but don't worry about styling, we'll talk about it as well. But the more concentration here is on the logic and how do we do it. Okay, and also I am going to delete this variables as well, because I'm going to show you everything from the scratch, so that you will also understand what are the challenges that we face while we recreate this, right? So I'm deleting the edit grid as well, because I'll do it right from the scratch again. Okay, perfect. So in the main page, let's go to the main page. So here what we need initially is just two text boxes, and that two text boxes should hold one is the item information, and the second one is the price information, price details, right? So let me just show you how you can do this. So it's quite simple. Just go to add control and type in the text box there without a space. Okay, just pull that over here. And as I have a darker background, you cannot see the label that's there. Okay, so what I do is I'll just go to styling and then just change this to white so that you can see it. And also just rename this label to item, right? Save it. And then the next text box, so let's copy paste the same thing and change this to price. You can easily copy paste, control C, control V. There's nothing major there. And if you see here, the styling of this whole container, I've kept it horizontal, and this is aligned in this way, or you can just align whatever way you want it to be. Okay, so after this is done, I have mentioned allow wrapping and allow scrolling because I was using this same app for my mobile application as well. So if at all you wanted to have it as a mobile app as well, then you have to ensure that you do the styling properly so that it allows wrapping and scrolling. So ensure that you check these two check boxes. And what is the requirement? Once after I add these two values, I want to create an entry. Okay, so what is actually happening is in the previous application that I've shown you, I have kept a button over here, right? So let me just take a button. So I've just added a button over here, right? So what this button actually does is add to expenses, right? So add to expenses. What this button actually do? Let's style this also a little bit because this is not at all visible. Okay, yeah. So what this button actually does is in the background, it is adding the values that I have entered into a database. So why I call it a database is because it stores all the information. So how can we actually see the amount that is spent till now, the amount that is available as a balance? So how it is actually, there's a logic that we have written behind, right? So it takes the amounts from the database. So what is my database I'm using here is data service. So in this data service, what I do is I store all the values. So I have created a data service. I'll show you how you can create one if you don't know, and how you can add the values, how you can create the records in the data service, right? So if you see here, I have my entity, which is budget app entity, right? So this entity I have added. So let's go back. If at all you're someone you don't know what is data surveys and how you can add the details, you don't have to know everything in detail, but at least the basic idea about the data service is needed. So I have a complete playlist of data service on my channel, so you can just check it out. Okay, and I will just give you the link for that particular playlist in the videos on the top right. You can just check them. Okay, but I'll give you the basic idea over here. So just go to the data service. So if you see here in the data service, I have a lot of entities that I've created. And one such entity is budget app entity. And if you go into the data, sorry, first let's look at the field. So if you see here, these are all the system defined fields, system built-in field, system built-in field. I have only two fields which are customized for my purpose, which is item and the other one is price. So I want my bot to add these details. Whenever the user enters the item and the price, I want to take those details and show it or store it into this particular entity. So if you see here, I have added movie, right? I have added dinner, right? So these are all the entities that I've added there in the app, but I could see them over here, right? So this is the database I'm using for my particular application, right? So that's how you can actually see. And These are all the data that we are maintaining, and using this data, this fields only, we are doing all the computations that we are doing inside of our app. Okay, so now I am going to quickly show you how we can actually add those values into our entity. Okay, so let's go back. So first of all, you should create an entity. Okay, so go to entity, create a new entity, give some name. Okay, so once after you give the name, you would able to see something like this, and then you can create a new field, give the whatever field name like item. Okay, and mention it's required. Okay, and after that you can give something like price and all the details like that. So once after the entity is created, and also as I mentioned you, for the clear video, I just refer to the playlist. I just gave you the basic how you can create the entity if at all you don't have any prior knowledge on entities, creation of entities, right? So once it's done, just you can just add the entity over here. Just come over here, you can see all the entities that are available in this particular tenant. So just select that particular entity and add, so that you can see the entity over here. Okay, so that's the first thing you have to do, because all our computations that we are doing will be storing in the data service says entity, and after that we are fetching some data in order to do some logical operations, and then showcase the data on the app. That's the whole background that we are doing in this process. Nice, so let's go back. So we have created two text fields, and then we are adding one button which is add to expense, right? So now what is the event that should happen once after user clicks on add to expenses is, let's go to the event and see. So I'm going to create a rule, and then I will do a create. I want to create a record, right? So create entity record. That means I want to create an entity record. So where I want to create, right? Where I want to create in the budget app entity. That is the entity I'm going to utilize. And as soon as you select it, it will show you the customizable fields. As I've mentioned you, it will show you only the fields which were created by you. It will not show you the fields. You cannot edit these fields anywhere. Okay, so only the option will be given to edit the fields that are customizable. Okay, so first in the item, so what value should go into the item? Whatever the user enters here in the this text box, right? So you can just if you want, you can just rename this as well, from text to item. Price. Okay, so what you wanted to do here in the item, whatever the user enters in the item. So there's a, in VB apps, if you don't know it already, then you can just select that value by main page dot. There's a syntax, right? In the main page we have all these things, but I want the value that is entered by the user in the item text box dot value. That's it. It's quite simple. Just save. So now just take a pause for 1 second and think about what is the value that you will enter inside this, inside that should go into the price. Just think a bit for a second before you actually see into the video, and then you just cross check if it's right or wrong. And now I'm going to give main page dot price dot value. Perfect, because I wanted to take the value that was entered by the user in the price text box. So save that value. So once after the user clicks on this, right, the both the values should be going into the entity and adding as a record over there. So if it is successfully done by the user, I wanted to show a message like success, and just mention like you you have added you have added the expense into the list, whatever it is customized, right? So save it. If at all it's not a successful message or a successful, entry, then you wanted to show a message like error. Okay, just I wanted to mention like error. And what is the text? Maybe there could be lot of reasons, right? So please check with your app admin. So also we will mention like entry not created. Okay, please check with your app admin. So this makes much sense, right? So now let's quickly run through it and see if we could able to add the records into the entity or not. So for that, I'll do a preview. So just fast forward this bit so that it will be landing at the place where you see the app. Okay, perfect. So now I will type into the item, which is let's say popcorn. So I'm not able to see it because I haven't adjusted the background of the input text that comes in. So let's keep it also the white color. Okay, so this is also quite important. Otherwise, we cannot see what we enter. Okay, so now let's check again. Okay, so just enter popcorn because we went to movie, right? So let's enter like 300, add to expenses. So success, you have added the items to the list. And also one more thing that I wanted to highlight here. Okay, let's go back first and check in the data service that if we could get the details over here. So just refresh so we can see the details. And also one more thing is if you see here, the information is still there. But for me, I want this information to disappear once after I click on add to expenses, right? So for that, what I'll do go to event and I'll add one more rule. What is that rule? To reset value. So what are all the values that I wanted to reset? One is item value and the other one is price value, right? So these are the two values that I wanted to reset. Let's do the preview again and see. So I'll do the same entry again. Just I'll just delete. Okay. And then now I will just do the same entry. Before to that, let's check. It's not there. It's gone, right? It's gone. So let's go ahead and do the entry again. 300, add to expense. So once after it's successful, you can see that this entries are deleted. Perfect, right? So this is how I want it. Just refresh, right? I can see the details coming over here. Perfect, nice. So now the next part is adding up the things. Like the major part, this is the place where the most of the computations takes place. Like you have seen, let's do a preview of the previous app. Okay, just do this preview. Okay, so now the major part is this one. So where you can see the allocated budget, this is simple. But once after you click on check available balance, you will able to see the amount spent and available balance, both of them. So how do we do that? There is a lot of computations, logics related involved in that particular thing. So we will take the data from the entities, whole data from the entities, wherever the value that is entered by the user. We'll do the whole sum of it, and then we will minus it from the allocated budget, and then we'll show how much is the available balance. And for showing how much is spent, we have to take the whole details and we have to sum up all the expenses that are spent by the user. So this is, I mean, the mathematically the computations are simple, but when we are doing it, when we are fetching the values from the data service and doing the computations with the data variables and everything is involved, right? So this is the major logic that's involved. So this is something that I'm going to talk in the next video. And till then, I think everyone who is doing parallelly, I think you could able to achieve till this part. If at all, do let me know in the comments. And also let me know if you want something else also involved in this particular use case, because it's the first use case, complete end-to-end use case that I'm doing on UiPath VB apps. So if at all you want to provide some suggestions or any ideas that you want to implement, or if you already implemented something or facing some issue, do let me know. If at all I have the ability to help you, then definitely I'll do comment back. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video with this part 2.